Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how we doing? How about that game?
Yep.
Good game.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great today. So last night, Charles Barkley called me out again. He called me a name again.
What did he call
as
you?
he repeatedly has for, I don't know, the last 20 years. So first, I would like to thank Charles Barkley for so faithfully watching us on Undisputed.
Yeah.
And second, I would like to congratulate Charles Barkley for finally getting a prediction right.
Yeah.
You know what? If you make enough goofy predictions, the odds are that eventually you're going to get one right.
You're right.
So Charles had predicted that Portland would win game one,
Right.
and now he has quadrupled down
Sweet.
that Portland will sweep your Los Angeles Lakers. And I say you better gloat while you can, Nostrachuckus, because it ain't going to last much longer.
Well, I don't really know why he chooses to take shots. I mean, people can have different views and varying opinions, and it's okay.
I do appreciate Shaq for saying, leave it alone, Chuck.
Shaq, looking out. All right, okay. How about we get to the game, shall we? Because Damian Lillard and the Blazers were just a bit too hot to handle for the Lakers last night. LeBron made history by becoming the first player to ever have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game. But it wasn't enough. The Blazers ended the game on a 19-6 run to win 100-93, and Lillard finished with 34 points on 6 of 13 shooting from beyond the arc. Shannon, what on earth happened to your Lakers?
Skip, in the famous words of the not-so-good senator from Maine, Susan Collins, this is deeply troubling and concerning. Skip,
Well, you lost me on that reference.
Everybody, they'll know what I'm talking about. Skip, now, we had this conversation last week, and you asked me, when they played the Nuggets, you say, what's my level of concern? I said, Skip, I'm concerned. I said, they won the game, but I'm seeing some things that I don't like.
Yep.
And the main thing that happened, they shot 35% from the floor. They shot 15% from the three-point line, and they shot 65% from the free throw line. All those things, when you add them up, will be a defeat. And that's what happened, Skip. The Lakers' two stars, stars need to shine bright. They did not shine bright last night. And I know LeBron had a triple-double, had 23 points, but it took him 20 shots to get those 23 points. AD had 29 or 28? It took him 24 shots to get those 28 points.
Okay.
For the first time, Skip, I believe the pressure bothered Anthony Davis because he was airballing shots. A lot of his shots outside the paint, they weren't even close to going in. And that's concerning to me. AD missed 5 free throws last night. AD's normally money from the free throw line. He shoot 85%. He shot 71% last night. Down the stretch, he and LeBron both missed both free throws.
Back to back.
That's unacceptable. Your superstars got to play big, and then you hope your role players chime in. It got to the point last night, I said, can we give Danny Green just 1 point if he hits the rim on a three-point shot? LeBron had, 16 assists? He should have had 25.
I'll buy that.
I mean, they just can't shoot it. This is, Skip, I mean, I could go into great detail and say this and that and talk about the lineups and they just cannot buy baskets. Caldwell Pope was over. I mean, Anthony Davis was minus 20? Danny Green was minus 20? Caldwell Pope minus 18? Those are your starters. And like I said, when you look at the line, you're going to look at LeBron had 23, 16, and 17? Wow. But it didn't seem impactful. Normally, a stat line like that from LeBron is impactful. You know his imprint is on it.
I am with you. When I saw it after the game, I was like, wow, I missed that. I didn't even know he was doing that.
But Anthony Davis, Skip, he's got to play better. Another 2-point outing in the fourth quarter. And there's a reason why they're letting you shoot those threes. There's a reason why they're letting you shoot those 20-footers. AD made basically 2 points outside of the paint, Skip. That's not good enough. He's better than that. Stop shying away. Stop doing those floaters. Put the ball on the floor and get to the rim and get to the free throw line. He shot 17 free throws. He should have shot 27 free throws if he wasn't going to bail the Blazers out. He bailed them out a lot. But, Skip, I'm concerned because the thing that's most concerning to me is that there's nobody on the horizon that can help them. Rondo don't shoot any better than what they have on the court. And again, the thing that concerned me last week against the Nuggets, I say, Skip, that was the second unit that shot 68% from the floor. If they can't stop them, how in the hell are they going to stop the Blazers or anybody else in crunch time? And that's what we saw last night. They couldn't stop. They went on. Blazers went on a 19-6 run and basically blew the game open.
Okay. So let me start with the very biggest picture from last night. If you shoot 5 for 32 from 3 against the worst defensive team in the bubble and in the league, the worst.
Yes.
5 for 32 is 15.6% from 3, and you give up 24 points from the three-point line because they made 13 to your 5.
Right.
You're going to lose that basketball game. And it's not a blip. It's now a trend in the bubble because your Los Angeles Lakers in now 9 bubble games, 8 regular, that one last night.
That's a nice sample size.
It's pretty good. You're shooting 28.7% from the three-point line. This is among 22 teams that were in the bubble. You're dead last.
Yeah.
You're dead last in free throw shooting at 71.5%. Won't work. Can't win championships making 70-odd% of your free throws.
Right.
You need to be in the 80s. It's better to be closer to 90.
Skip, you mentioned the worst defensive team in the bubble. The Blazers average giving up 123 per game.
You got 93 last night. 93?
Let that sink in. With Anthony Davis and LeBron James on your roster, you got 30 points lower than what they normally give up.
Wow. Interesting. In scoring in the bubble, you are tied for worst with the Wizards in average points per game. So that's the big picture. Now let's go smaller picture. I have a whole lot to say about Damian Lillard's game, but first I must comment on your man LeBron's game. Here's the point of last night. With 7 minutes left in the game, LeBron James has in his hands the basketball with a 6-point lead.
Correct.
Shannon Sharpe, as much as you love him, you have to admit, close that deal.
Yeah,
you got to, against the Blazers, you got to close it.
Yes.
You are LeBron freaking James. You got to take it home. And it is your quote-unquote home game. I know it's in the bubble, but at least you're getting the piped-in fake crowd noise, right? When you score, at least they're going to roar somehow, virtual roar, right?
Yes.
So you have a tiny home court advantage, not like Staples, but a tiny one. And Shannon Sharpe, what happens down the stretch after that? Well, not much happens from LeBron James. Now, your man Anthony Davis had already disappeared, but he disappears in a lot of fourth quarters.
Right.
And what did he wind up with in the fourth quarter? Nothing. 2 points. He took 3 shots and made 1, right?
Yep.
Did he get to the free throw line? Yes, he did one time, but so did your man LeBron. So down the stretch, as you pointed out, back-to-back, they get to the first. LeBron missed a sort of a driving layup. It was ticked off the front of the rim. That was with 3:22 left. And that would have tied the game. I'm sorry, I missed those 2 free throws at 4:24. So he goes back-to-back with Anthony to the free throw line. Do you realize the psychological damage you do to your squad?
Yes.
If both you and your co-star,
your 2 best players,
your superstar, you march to the free throw line with the game on the line, both times you can tie the basketball game. If you make 2 or he makes 2, you tie the game. You put the pressure back on the underdog 8-seed Blazers, right? And you can't tell me they wouldn't start teetering a little bit. Uh-oh, those guys they're taking over now. You both go over. You 0 for 2 and 0 for 2. So you missed 4 straight free throws by your 2 superstars. It is a psychological crusher for your team. So then LeBron misses the driving layup at 3:32. He made a tip layup at 2:12 where he just tipped it and it went back in. It was slightly lucky, but I'm going to give him, he did score 2 points down the stretch. Right. And then that would have cut it to 4 if he had made that. I mean, he did. He did make that. Yeah, that did cut it to 4. And then with 30 seconds left, LeBron James did have a chance to cut it to 2 and maybe make it a game again because it would have gotten dicey. from the three-point line, and he missed that. He and Anthony Davis, and to your point, I don't know why Anthony is just drifting and drifting and drifting out there. It's almost LeBron-esque where I'll try these long shots because people won't hold me accountable.
Right.
These are hard shots for a 6'10" guy, right? They combined to go 1 for 10 from the free throw line, on the three-point line. You're going to lose.
You lose.
Your two best players 1 for 10.
Yeah.
You're up against Dame and CJ, and we know they can shoot it, and they're going to make more than 1 3-point shot in a game. So you have to cancel. You have to at least counterbalance that, and they did not. So my point is, down the stretch of that game, LeBron could not close it. And one other quick note on the Lakers, what do I always tell you? Who do I believe is the closer? Who was born to be the closer? Kyle Kuzma. So what happened to Kuzma in the fourth quarter? Well, he was heating up. Early in the quarter, he scored 4 straight points, and I thought, uh-oh, here he goes. Right. And with 8:03 left, Vogel pulls him out in favor of Danny Green. And it's a defensive switch because they don't trust him on defense because he's going to have to guard Dame or CJ usually the way.
But the thing is, Skip, with that, if that Danny Green is not knocking down shots.
He's not.
He's not that defensive guy that he once was. And so now they're playing 5-on-4.
You have to outscore Portland. You have to.
Yes.
You can because you have a huge advantage because they don't defend at any sort of level. So let Kyle Kuzma, what if you just let him have his head? Let him go. Let him run. Let him shoot.
Right.
Could he have made 3 or 4 more in a row? Nope. He's pulled. He's yanked. And he doesn't come back in for about 4 minutes. He comes back in. They were up 6 when he left. They were down 2 when he came back in. He got no more shots. He had a tip try on an offensive rebound, but he took no more shots the rest of the game. Help me out. Is that the right strategy here? I think not.
Well, Skip, we've been kind of questioning Vogel's lineup and how he's trying to play it, and I guess he wants to keep the pattern in which he's gone with all year, is that once Avery Bradley left, Kyle Kuzma stayed in his bench role because he wanted someone that can generate offense coming off the bench. And KCP moved into the starting lineup. But if KCP is not going to give you but 1 point. If Danny Green is going to miss his first 5 or 6 shots and miss them badly, Skip, you got to get some points somewhere. Try Dion Waiters. They gave Dion Waiters a minute.
Little bit,
They gave 1 minute. What's he supposed to do in a minute, Skip?
Okay. To Damian Lillard's game.
Yes.
This is why I was so impressed with what he did in the middle of the fourth quarter. Do you realize what a dire circumstance he was in career-wise, legacy-wise, when he came into the game with 10-15 left in the fourth quarter? Do you realize what happened over the first couple of minutes he was in the game in the fourth quarter? He missed his next 2 shots. He had a turnover. And all of a sudden, guess what was happening? He had now gone over his last 3 games, fourth quarters combined, he had gone 22 clock minutes without making a single field goal. He had gone 7-12 of the Brooklyn game. He had gone the whole fourth quarter, all 12 minutes of the Memphis game. And now he had gone the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter last night without making a field goal. That's 22 clock minutes. That's almost like 2 fourth quarters that you have played without scoring a field goal. That's dire. And furthermore, he had suffered through a weird drought in the middle of this game because, remember, he went from 4:57 of the second quarter all the way to 7:37 left in the game without making a field goal. Do you realize that's almost 2 full quarters of play with no field goals? He started out hot. He scored 15 in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden he went missing. So think about this. He'd gone all those fourth quarter minutes over 3 games without scoring a field goal, and in the middle of this game, he'd gone almost 2 full quarters without scoring a field goal. Don't you think your legacy is teetering just a little bit? You got your great opportunity against LeBron and company, 1 seed versus 8. You've been the hottest player in the bubble. You are the MVP of the bubble, and you better do something. And guess what he finally did? I love this. I was telling you yesterday, I told you last week, I don't care if you get trapped. If you're a superstar, the Lakers were trying to trap with a big at half court. It's absurd to me. Okay, so you're guarded by Alex Caruso. He tries hard, but he's Alex Caruso, right? He's just some guy to me who just tries hard. He plays hard. He's going to dive for loose balls. He cannot guard Damian Lillard. Okay, so they're trying to trap with a big. So Anthony Davis is kind of running out there trying to do this.
He's came from too far, and so he split it.
It's too far, and it's too easy for Anthony Davis's man that he's supposed to be guarding just to come and pick. Just come pick, because you're going to have a traffic jam out high.
Right.
And Damian is obviously quick enough and strong enough. He's just going to beat it. He can get space off that kind of a half-court trap.
You talk about late in the ball game, but AD knows that they had done a great job up until that point, Skip. Instead of just showing, they were hugging up. The bigs were hugging up, because if he sees daylight, he's going to rise up and shoot.
But if you see it coming, if Damian sees it and you have the other big that he's guarding come and pick, you can wreak havoc on that kind of a trap. If you're running downhill, which he started doing, he's finally got aggressive and said, I'm just going to shoot these. Well, obviously, he has great range. He has effortless range. So with 7:37 left, he just rose up and made one from 26 feet, and that was to cut it to 3. And that was a big shot just to kind of save the game at that point.
Because, Skip, you know what happened? That was the one that they were the loose ball. And all of a sudden, Nurkic get it, they pass it to him, and the clock is running down.
Okay. And then he gets a little farther with each next shot. The next one comes with 5:46 left, and it's to tie, and this one's from 30 feet. So he goes from 26 feet to 30 feet. Now he's starting to feel it, and he makes it. And all of a sudden he says, okay, let me try for a trio here. And he goes for another 3 with 3:13 left, except this one, he rises up from 36 feet. That's a logo Lillard shot. And that was the biggest shot of the night from Damian, because that put them up 3. And all of a sudden, the whole game was tilting back toward Portland. Okay, this is just me. You can say I'm nitpicking, but I told you yesterday I wanted to see him continue to step on a throat, to close the deal the way I saw Jamal Murray two days ago now, the Denver-Utah game. Remember, Jamal, over the last 139 of that game in a shootout with Donovan Mitchell, scored 8 straight points over 139 and then 10 points in overtime to just slam the door on the Utah Jazz. Well, I wanted Dame just to finish it off, but he didn't. He deferred. He took one more shot and missed it. But the biggest shots of the night, the dagger shots, that guy, Melo, who is that guy? Where did he come from? He made a huge shot, and so did the new guy. The new kid, Gary Trent Jr., makes big shots. That's 2:33 left and 1:15 left. Dagger, ball game.
Skip, but when you look at Dame, Skip, he understands the game. He'll take what you give him. Now, he's just not going to okay, they did a great job shoveling, funneling to the side, trapping and getting the ball out of the hand. Now, if you leave him in the middle of the court, you're at his mercy, because he's going to either split it or he's going to go around the big. And you know you can't just show with him. You have to hug up. And if the big that screened you rolls to the basket, well, somebody's going to have to come, make him make the extra pass. But if you don't show, if you don't hug up with him like AD didn't, like Dwight Howard didn't, he's just going to rise up from 35, 36 feet. And Skip, if you watch him in the game, he's hitting in warm-up, he's hitting 6 or 7 of those in a row. So he's feeling very comfortable in that situation. But when he started the fourth quarter on the bench, Skip, that's when the Lakers got to make their move. When your best player is out, the team that's down, or you're up by a little, you make your move and you get some separation. Because they could not get the separation that they... You look at when LeBron goes to the bench. What does the opposing teams do? They get separation. They weren't able to get that kind of separation, and Dame came back in, and it was like he never missed a beat, Skip. He did what you asked him to do. Okay, he went and got 9 points. He got you 2 assists. He had the big mellow. Maybe it was to CJ, but he had a big assist. 2 up with the last one to Nurkic. The game was already over at that point in time. But Skip, he's special. He's a superstar, and he did it. And
what I'm telling you, and you lost track of this, the perspective on it. He was in dire danger of really having a big asterisk on his resume. If he kept going silent in fourth quarters, if he had kept silent in that fourth quarter the way he was, 2 big droughts, there was a lot of pressure on him because he's obviously has high basketball IQ. He knew what was happening, and I applaud him for, under the pressure of the circumstance, making those 3 shots. He was due, he owed his team, and he gave his team, in the middle of the quarter, 3 big shots that saved the game.
Skip, he's a small man, but he's a heavyweight. He has one-punch knockout power. He has the ability to hit one shot, and what was going on in the first half where he couldn't miss, it recreates that all again. It was like that scramble. He gets the ball, he sidesteps, and he lets it go. The clock goes off, and it swishes. And now he's right back in the rhythm. He has that ability. He has a unique ability. Yes, he can go for stretches where he's not shooting the ball. Other guys are getting involved. Because, Skip, you got to realize he's played for another 42 minutes. He played 43 minutes again. He's been playing 42 minutes a game. So he's coasting. He knows he can't just exert. So he's coasting, seeing where, okay, CJ, you do something. Okay, Melo, you do something. Let's try to get it down to the bigs. Let them handle it. And then he's refreshed. He gets that burst of energy for a 3-minute stretch, and he goes boom, 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 and the game's over.
Okay, but I'm going to remind you again, in that game last night, he went from mid-second quarter to almost mid-fourth quarter without scoring a field goal, and he came through. He came back to life and came through.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. Because they built that lead, he could coast because the Lakers were going to have to exert energy to get back in the game. Now, had they been down 16, now you're forcing him to expend energy. They're up 16, so he's like, okay, I'm going to pick and choose my spot. We know it's going to take you, 8, 10 minutes to try to come back into this ball game. So even though he's out there these were not the 4, because as you mentioned, he went that stretch of 22 minutes where he really didn't do a whole lot offensively. That was the time that the Lakers needed to create some separation between them and the Blazers, and they couldn't do it. Skip, Dwight Howard they're up 6. Dwight Howard get a ticky-tack fight. Dwight, come on, bro.
Offensive foul.
Yes! Skip,
is a killer.
You see how they had been calling the game. Now, you had just gotten away. With pushing Nurkic. They call it on Nurkic. And I'll be doggone if you don't come right back and do the exact same thing again 5 minutes later. Come on, Dwight. Be smarter than that.
Well, hasn't that been his history?
That's his MO.
Yes.
It's kind of simple, kind of like Donovan Mitchell, Skip. You're up 4. All you got to do is just beat the 8-second clock, and who knows, you're possibly up 6. Instead, you 8 seconds, and now you're only up 1 because they come back and hit a 3. Skip, this is concerning. I was concerned last week with what I saw. But when you shoot 16% from the 3, 35% from the floor, and 64% from the free throw line, you're going to lose.
You know the term snake bitten? That's what they are from 3 right now. They're snake bitten. They got the demons in the back of their head.
I don't know what they got. But all I know is they're throwing up brick. Skip, these shots, they ain't no rim outs. Sometimes Skip, the ball rims out. Skip, these shots are not even close. Guys hitting the corner of the backboard. How the hell you hit the corner of the backboard? You got to aim at the corner to hit the corner and not the rim.
It's like 3 in a row at that point.
I mean, Danny Green, Skip, I just say, if he hits the rim, we get a point. I'm not saying just hit the rim.
Do you realize Danny Green in the 2013 NBA Finals set the all-time record for threes made in a finals?
Yes.
That's that guy I lived and died with as a Spur. Because it's heaven or hell with Danny Green. And right now, you're stuck in hell.
Well, right now, we've been in hell and purgatory. We ain't seen no heaven since the first game against the Clippers.
I got it.
Mercy.
The Charlotte Hornets have suspended radio play-by-play announcer John Foky after he tweeted using the N-word on Monday during the Jazz-Nuggets game. Foky was tweeting about the shot making in that game, but the tweet included the N-word instead of Nuggets. Foky has apologized and said he simply mistyped and had no intention of using that word. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
Woo-wee. Skip, man, this is, and I get it. The U is right next to the I, the E is right next to the R. But Skip, it's going to be hard for him to overcome this because the phones have autocorrect. And every time I'm typing, I'm like, phone, will you stop trying to figure out what I'm trying to say? Damn, let me get it all the way through, because Skip, I'm typing something and no, I don't want that. I got to go back. Can you let me get it out? And then if it's wrong, help me out. You never autocorrect when I need you, but you always trying to imply what I'm trying to think. So Skip, and I get it, and a part of me wants to believe that he made an honest mistake. But the problem is, in the business that he's in, the owner of his organization is black, and a lot of the players that he's going to be dealing with on a daily basis are black. And Skip, he's apologized. He has apologized. They're going to be looking at him like, man, you said that. You typed that. So, Skip, so am I saying, have you used that word so many times, autocorrect, didn't even try to correct you? What's going on? Is it going to be a situation, Skip, where they're going to ask him to turn over his phone? They're going to forensically go through his phone and see if he's typed that, if he's used that kind of words before? I'm like, man, and Skip, it's hard for me to see a scenario where he's saying this is a great game between Utah and the N-word. So part of me, Skip, I do honestly, a part of me wants to say, you know what, the man made an honest mistake. But in today's time, especially in today's, Skip, you have to be careful. You really have to go with because there are a lot of times, Skip, I want to tweet something, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Let me read it again. Let me read it again, Skip. Let me read it. Because a lot of times, Skip, when I'm trying to, when I want to say something, are they gonna take it like I'm trying to say it, or is it gonna be implied, or is it gonna be referenced in a different tone? So I say, you know what? Somebody might take it a different way. I ain't gonna even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Not worth it. Not even worth it, Skip. So for me, Skip, a part of me wants to believe him. I'm like 80% believe that he made an honest mistake.
Really?
I really do, Skip. I really do. It's just hard for me to, in the line of work that he's in, and to the Nuggets but like I said, Skip, autocorrect. So autocorrect, they can give you like 3 different choices because they give me 3 different choices. I type a word out, you want this, or you want this. And so it didn't so that's the point. And he has an iPhone. And iPhones are notorious for giving you 3 different options to choose from when you type in a word. So for me, Skip, I just think it's going to be hard for him to overcome because of the business that he's in. You have a black owner and you have black players that you're going to have to deal with on a daily basis. And Skip, they're going to be looking at you with a side eye. I'm sorry. You're like, I apologize if you get him, but like, they be walking around like, man, you remember he did type that though. I don't know how, Skip, for me, I don't know how he overcomes that and stays there. Now, he might go somewhere else and get a different job, but I don't know how he stays in that role with that organization.
I'm going to say again what I always say to you about this word. It is the single most evil word in the English language. I can't imagine how anyone could accidentally type that word and hit send.
Right.
Especially a man sitting in that seat for the Charlotte Hornets, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, Skip. Did you try to type like Nuggets and see what comes up? I mean, I typed Nuggets and the other part didn't come up.
Okay. I am not going to give him any benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to give him 50% or 80%. I'm giving him 0%.
Wow.
This is nothing but a fireable offense. He has to go because I can't come up with a plausible accidental scenario.
Right.
I just can't get it through my head.
Oh, he done typed that on that phone before.
Thank you.
He done typed it on the phone before.
Because it got auto-corrected because you have typed it before, which happens. If you type that word enough in your phone, it's going to start to, you'll see it come up in your autocorrect.
Yes.
And if you accidentally hit N-I instead of N-U, it's going to go boom. And then if you're in a hurry because you're watching a great showdown of a shootout,
right,
you just hit send.
Right.
Whoops.
And you want to get your comment out there before someone else because they might be thinking the exact same thing you thinking. So you want to beat them to the punch.
And furthermore, only one team in this league is owned by an African-American. It is owned and operated by simply the greatest human who ever played any sport in my estimation. And yet that man, Michael Jordan, has been criticized over his career for rarely, if ever, taking a racial justice stand.
Correct.
So now he'll be even under more pressure, more focus, more anticipation of, what are you going to do now?
Well, Skip, over the last couple of years, he's become more woke. He has given $100 million to causes, and he's a different Michael Jordan in 2020 than he was in the 80s and in the 90s when he was basically trying to sell shoes.
Obviously he is, and he got labeled with that one comment, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Correct.
And I think it has started to eat at him.
Yes.
We saw that some in the Last Dance documentary. And he wants to show that that he has a big heart for this cause, for Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So he has tried to do everything in his power to make up for lost time.
Correct.
So we give it that.
Yes.
But now you have, I think this guy's only been there 1 year, so it's not like he's a legend.
Right.
It's not like he's iconic in the community.
He Chick Hearn ripped his soul, Johnny Most.
And furthermore, I have to throw this out. He's from Minneapolis. His career had been based in Minneapolis. Right. And the eerie irony of this, obviously, is that was the scene of the crime, the murder that started Black Lives Matter. Not trying to condemn the city of Minneapolis. Sorry, Jenny, to bring it up. It's just ironic. That's where he's from. And so you sit back and shake your head and say, what is going on here? That can't be an accident. I'm sorry. It has to be over. And I'm not one, I hate to call for people's jobs, but this is the worst. This is definitely
a fireable offense, Skip.
Yes.
Like I said, in his line of work.
Yes.
You're dealing with African Americans, and the thing that, somebody's not going to want to talk to you because you uttered that word. Like I said, Skip, it's hard for autocorrect. Have you tweeted that, written that word down so many times on your phone that they don't even autocorrect? They just like, go, that's what you mean, and you just sent it.
You would suspect that.
So he might have to be a Tom Brady, Skip. He might have to turn that phone over. Or does he smash it up like your guy did?
My God. He changed phones.
He changed
Time had passed. He changes phones every year.
Yeah, he said that information disappeared like old Clinton email.
Really?
Yeah, he like old Clinton. Bleached it out, Jenny.
Well, at least he wasn't typing the N-word.
Yeah, but Skip, like I said, I just don't know how he overcomes it, Skip. And Skip, I believe in second chances. I don't believe
I got you. I got you.
But
except
some things you
yeah.
don't get a second chance from.
No. Over.
And that, Skip, like you said, he does realize, like, the guy that owns the team that he works for is African American. How does he juxtapose that?
You just can't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What'd you say his name was? Folky?
Folky. John Folky.
You got to go he.
Yep. And again, to your point, if he can resurrect his career elsewhere,
yes,
God help him.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Give him a second chance, just not there. Okay, we agree. We agree on that.
Oh, it really does make you sick to your stomach, though. Skip, since you did bring up Minneapolis, I do want to point out that he was a radio broadcaster for the Lynx, and they have come to his defense, many of them, just saying that they've known him. Yes, the coaching staff has been tweeting about it, just to keep in mind for reference, but it doesn't excuse a mistake like that, guys. I would like to go back to the Lakers' loss. Shannon, we're going to be here all day because it was a historic night for LeBron with that triple-double, but the King couldn't get enough help from his teammates in their Game 1 loss to the Blazers. Despite being up 6 midway through the fourth quarter, the Lakers still lost by 7. LA shot just 15% from 3, and after the game, LeBron admitted the team had breakdowns down the stretch. Shannon, how much trouble are the Lakers in?
Well, I've been worried about them, Skip. I've been worried about their three-point shooting, and I've been worried about their late-game defense. And that's what we saw on full display. They couldn't make shots, catch and shoot. They were terrible. And then down the stretch, they allowed the Blazers to go on a 19-6 run. Skip, I get it. There's no home court. You're not in Staples. But when you have Anthony Davis, you have LeBron James, and you're up 6, you got to bring it home. You got to bring it home. It's got to come home because you fought and you've been behind pretty much the entirety of the game. You were down at one point by 16, and you got to bring that one home. Skip, and they scored 93 points. Let that sink in. A team that's given up 123 in the bubble, they hold you 30 below that with AD and LeBron on that team. Now, granted, you played some pretty good defense yourself because this was the first time that the Blazers have only scored 100 points in the season. So you did some good things also. But for KCP 0-9. Danny Green was 1 for 12. Caruso was 1 of 6. You can't win like that, Skip. Anthony, AD, and LeBron have to play better. Skip, they need to be around 60. That's at the bare minimum in order for them to win, to offset. Because, like I said, I can't count on Kuzma giving me 25 like he gave me in the Nuggets. I can't count on that. I can't count on that Danny Green of 2013, Skip, that had the record for the most threes in a series. I can't count on that. What I should be able to hang my hat on is LeBron James and Anthony Davis, between the two of them, giving me 60-plus points, giving me 20-plus rebounds, and giving me 15 to 16 assists. That's what I should be able to hang my hat on. All the other things, if it comes, I'll take it, gladly accept it. But I should be able to hang my hat, and I wasn't able to hang my hat on that last night. I'm concerned. I am concerned, and I've been concerned for a while.
So here we go to game 2. Now the pressure is completely on your team. Portland probably feels like it has one to play with.
Right.
You know, you can just go out, let it fly, just see what happens, and hope that the Lakers shrink again. Hope that they start missing and it becomes contagious missing again. Okay, I'm going to bring this back up because we talked about it a couple of weeks back, and I'm not going to minimize the impact of this. What did we hear about LeBron and AD, not only in the bubble, I think it had started back at the end of the regular season. They had decided no more shoot-arounds. I'm not saying that's why they're missing so many threes as a team, but there's a mindset to that. Maybe if they're not going to shoot around now, and it's so easy in the bubble because you can roll out of bed and you can walk to the arena. It's 5 minutes from your hotel. Your bus ride is 1 minute to the arena. It's not that hard to go to shoot around on the day of a game, the morning of a game, late morning, maybe it's at 10 or 11. Just go shoot. And maybe you can break the cycle. Maybe you can smash the jinx of it. Maybe you'd feel better as a team if you went and everybody got up shots. And maybe all you did was shoot 3-point shots. And maybe you'd feel like you lifted the curse or the hex. You know, sometimes mentally, you know how it goes. And then if you can make a couple in the first quarter, maybe you start going contagious great on contagious hot. I think they need to go back to shoot-arounds because that's the only team I've ever heard of that doesn't conduct a morning shoot-around on day of game. It's a tradition in the league. I'm pretty sure every team does it every game.
Well, Skip, this is the only team in the league I've seen constantly shoot 15% from the three-point line, too.
All right, so maybe there's something to that.
Maybe you're right.
Rajon Rondo has been cleared to play. He practiced, I believe, on Monday.
I saw him and he was shooting pregame.
You need him. He brings this team something it did not have last night. It's an edge. It's an attitude. It's a playoff Rondo experience. There's something about him in big playoff games because he's been in a bunch of them and he's got championship in his pedigree. You need him to set a different tone than is getting set by Alex Caruso right now. I think the rest of the Lakers look at Caruso as a try-hard guy. You know, he's not good enough to make the impact that Rajon Rondo can make on both ends of the floor. Because Rondo, we know he's not a great on-ball defender, but he is a disruptor. He'll make a play with a steal. He'll do something to incite the team on a run. So you need Rondo to give you a new edge to this team. It didn't play with any edge or urgency last night to me. They fell behind by 16 right out of the gate.
But, Skip, that's been the theme. They've been slow out of the gates and then try to walk people down, and you have to exert so much energy in order to get back. Skip, in the third quarter, they scored 19 as a team. In the fourth, they scored 18. I've seen LeBron James score 20-plus by himself. I've seen Anthony Davis score 20 points by themselves. They scored 37 points in the second half.
Okay, and back to Kyle Kuzma. I brought him up as we opened the show. He has to play the fourth quarter. You have to try to feature him and get him going. He was going with 4 quick points, and all of a sudden he was going to the bench for reasons I still don't get. It was a defensive switch because they thought Danny Green could be better on either Dame or CJ than Kyle Kuzma can on defense. But you need to outscore the Blazers.
But you got to make them work. But you have to also make them work on the defensive end while they're making you work. And maybe that's what's happening with Danny Green because he normally gets the toughest defensive assignment. So maybe, Skip, his legs aren't there because he's chasing Dame, he's chasing CJ. Well, you got to make them work also because if they're coasting, they're not worried. They're like, we ain't even worried about you. We're going to double down on AD. We're going to double down on LeBron, and we're going to leave you shooters open. And as long as you don't make it, why would I ever not double down on AD? Why would I not ever double down on LeBron James when you guys can't even throw it in the ocean? Standing on the deck.
Okay. And finally, I also mentioned this at the top of the show. Your man, LeBron James, if in game 2 you give him a 6-point lead with 7 minutes left, he has to say, get out of my way. I'm going to shut this game down. I'm going to close it up and ship it home because it is a Laker, quote-unquote, home game. The crowd noise is going to be pro-Laker, the fake crowd noise.
Right.
He has to march to the free throw line. I know he's not great at the late game free throw line. In fact, he's the worst star at the late game free throw line you can find in NBA history.
66% now, okay, where he was a 75%.
No. So he missed the 2 last night, as did Anthony Davis. But listen, against this team, he's being guarded by often Carmelo Anthony.
And Gary Trent Jr.
And
those are the 2 guys.
Okay, and Carmelo did a nice job of just trying. He tried to stay in front of him. But against Gary Trent Jr., who's about 6'5", and LeBron's about 6'9", he cannot keep you from the rim. He cannot. No. I'm sorry, he cannot.
But see, the thing is, Skip, is that what Portland did last night, they went double bigs. They went Whiteside and they went Nurkic. Well, if you go double bigs with them, they're not going to respect JaVale McGee. They don't respect Dwight Howard. So why would Whiteside and Nurkic wander out there? They're there clogging up the paint. Whiteside had 5 blocks. He had 2 or 3 on LeBron.
He did.
Where that would have been easy layup had he not been in the ball game.
I buy that.
So it's hard. So I know AD doesn't like to play the 5, but he might have to play the 5 in order to open up the court so LeBron can have that lane to come downhill.
I agree. The main thing they need to do is come out and make some shots. It's as simple as that. What's the most famous Doc Rivers line? And I'm not even sure Doc originated it because it probably was originated back in the peach basket days.
Right.
It's a make or miss league and game.
Yeah, either you put the ball in the hoop or you didn't.
And especially once the three-point line got invented, there's no more psychologically devastating shot in basketball than to make a 3.
Right.
It's like, boom.
Because the thing is now, Skip, not only can you make a 3, we've seen Dame Lillard make a living off making 4-point plays. So now, where if I dunk the ball and you foul me, I can get 3. Now I can shoot that shot 3 plus 1.
Yep.
And you see, Caruso, I know you watch tape. If you try to go between the screen and get Dame, he's going to draw the foul, he's going to go to the free throw line, and he's going to make all 3 free throws.
Yep.
We've seen him do it. Skip, how many times you like, well, that's not, how many times have we seen him and James Harden do that?
Yep.
If you do it, he's going to draw contact, and he's going to the line, and he's going to shoot the 3 free throws. It's as simple as that. Come on, guys. Now, I don't know what y'all watching. I don't know how you watch film in basketball, but whatever y'all doing, change it. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're not doing, try something else.
Frankie V, as you call him.
Man, Frankie V.
He's on the hot seat right now. You better push the right buttons going into this one.
They get him up out of there. He losing the first round, they get him up out of there.
He would be up out of there in a heartbeat because there are 2 former head coaches sitting on, I know Lionel Hollins is not in the bubble, but Jason Kidd and Lionel Hollins are just sitting right there waiting in the wings.
Yeah. He'd be like that Barcelona coach. They lost 8-2. Man, you got to go, bro.
Later.
Yeah, you got to go. So you can't be the #1 seed with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and go out in the first round. You gone.
I'm not saying game 2 is a must-win, but you better win.
That's
what I'm saying.
It's a must-win.
You better win.
It's a must-win.
Yeah.
You got to,
Well, I mean, it's not like you have to go to Portland for game 3, but still.
Well, considering that I haven't seen the Lakers have looked like the Lakers twice, Skip. They look like the Lakers against the Clippers, and they look like the Lakers of Utah.
They did.
That's it.
Yep, I agree.
No mercy.
Ezekiel Elliott is coming into this season motivated after recovering from COVID-19 earlier this offseason, which caused him to miss a month of workouts. Zeke said he's been working on his receiving game and practicing a lot from the slot over the summer. The All-Pro running back is entering this season with a chip on his shoulder and said, quote, "I think I do have a lot to prove. I have high expectations for myself." So Shannon, will Zeke have a bounce-back year?
Well, I wouldn't even call it a bounce-back year. I expect Zeke to be Zeke. I expect him to have somewhere between 1,300 and 1,600 yards, Skip. That's customary for him. But I think the biggest thing that hurt Zeke last year, Skip, they spent too much time trailing in ball games. It's hard to establish the run, Skip. You're down 24, you're down 19, you're down 17, and you're playing catch-up. Zeke, if you remember, Skip, when Zeke burst onto the scene, he and Dak, they led the NFL in time of possession. Well, if you lead the league in time of possession, you don't lead the league in time of possession throwing the football. You lead it running, and that's one of the reasons why Zeke led the league in rushing. So I expect them to get back to that. Dak, it's hard to, lead the league in rushing and have your quarterback throw for almost 5,000 yards. But when you're in the trail position, now you neutralize Zeke. You basically do the team a favor because you take the ball out of his belly because you're trying to throw to catch up. Well, yeah, Zeke can catch the ball, Skip, yeah. But we don't think of him as Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley catching the ball, Alvin Kamara. That's not who we look at him as. He's a lunch pail. He's a hand it to me 25, hand it to me 30 times type of a guy. He's not one of these new age guys, Skip. You give it to him 20 and you throw it to him another 8 to 10 times. That's not what Zeke Elliott is. My question is, Skip, I'm hearing Mike McCarthy say, we got 3 number ones. We heard those guys say, well, we want to be 3 1,000-yard receivers.
Yep.
Well, Skip, there's only one football, like you say in basketball. There's only one football. So if you throw him 70 balls to get him his 1,000, you throw him his 80 balls, and you throw him his 85 balls, well, how many balls you think Zeke going to be able to get? At some point, Dak going to have some incompletions. He's not going to complete every pass.
Okay.
But I do expect Zeke to be Zeke. I think this offense, the West Coast offense, is very conducive to running the football, and I think Mike McCarthy wants to run the football. He's never had a guy like this. So it's gonna be a unique situation. He's had great quarterbacks. Obviously had Brett Favre, had Aaron Rodgers. He's had some very good receivers. Greg Jennings, Donald Driver. He's had some guys that go, Devontae Adams, but he's never had anything like this.
Nope.
He's never had an offensive line like this.
Nope.
So let's see how heavily he's willing to lean on Zeke and that offensive line to let Zeke be Zeke.
My first point is I disagree about last year. I do need my man, Ezekiel Elliott, to have a bounce-back year because by his standards, by my standards for him, he had a down year last year. And by the way, just for the record, he was handed the ball last year 301 times. Mm-hmm. The league leader in carries was 303, and that was Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Because down the stretch, he was getting like 40 carries a game. But it was just 2 more carries that Derrick Henry had than Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
And yet, he finished only 4th in the league in yards. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who should perennially lead the league in yards gained. And he was 6th in yards after contact, which is not good enough for that guy. And he was tied for 23rd last year in rushes of 20-plus yards, tied for 23rd. That scares me because I keep telling you, I don't see quite the burst I saw as a rookie. Is it fair for me to he just blew me away when he was a rookie. I just said, I saw Ohio State as a rookie. I did.
To tell the truth, that's what you saw Alabama and Oregon and in the Big Ten
Wisconsin.
Championship. Yeah, that's what you saw.
Those 3 games were absurdly dominating.
You're right.
He's going 200-plus. He's just running wild on 3 pretty good to very good defenses.
Yes.
And that was his second to last year. I don't know which one you call it at Ohio State, but he came back for one more year after that. But I saw Ohio State in his rookie year in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And then that year he averaged 109 yards per game. Mm-hmm. And then the next year it went to 98, the next year 96. Not terrible, but last year it dropped to 85.
Right.
So he's in a little bit of decline. But to your point, I do agree. The 85 was somewhat because they fell deeply into holes. And after a while, you just got to try to throw your way out of the hole.
Correct.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe he's going to have a bounce-back year. And
when you say bounce-back year, what do you say?
Lead the league in rushing and increase your catches. Remember, look at his catches. In 2018, he caught 77. Last year, it fell to 54. Not terrible, but not what he was.
Well, but you have to understand the ascension of Gallup.
I got it.
You had Cobb.
I got it.
So you have to understand, as these receivers elevate, some of his numbers will come down.
Okay, but I loved what Jenny pointed out, that he is saying, I have worked much harder this offseason on catching. I've been splitting out. I've lined up some at the wide out and some in the slot because I want to get more used to catching balls.
Right.
Tom Landry used to call Tony Dorsett as a receiver wild hands because he was just kind of wild-handed. but if he ever got a hold of it, Tony Dorsett in the flat, good night.
Right.
Zeke can still do damage as long as he catches, but sometimes he gets his body gets to moving faster than his hands, and is like, whoa, I forgot to catch the ball first.
Right.
Well, if he'll just lock it up and put it away, as you often did, almost always did, you have to watch it in your hand, and then put it away, lock it up inside your elbow, you know. Well, then you can do more damage. So I'm loving that. My only cause to pause a little bit was he did get COVID. It wasn't brutal on him. It didn't wreak havoc on him. But he said doctors told him you can't work out for a month because you got to make sure all the organs are working back in harmony.
Right.
Not that you're not sick anymore. You just got to make sure that no damage was done.
Right.
Well, what was my big issue with him last year? He held out for almost the whole camp. He came back from Cabo, and he never looked like he was really in game shape. Maybe by the last 3 or 4 games, maybe. But it troubles me a little bit because I don't think he's a workout warrior. It's just not his, you know, just...
Man, you saw that, Skip, you remember how he used to come out there in pregame, his shirt rolled up? He went to the... You remember how he went to the draft? He had to cut off tuxedo shirt and abs, all that, like he got tennis balls in his stomach.
Did he have abs?
Yeah.
Even for game days, when he rolled it up, it looked like a little bit of a roll.
Well, it look like that now. Yeah. Look like he been eating out of that Salvation Army kettle.
Okay, well, maybe. I don't know.
I said, but Ohio State is giving him a chisel.
Okay, and I'm going to give you my least favorite stat of the year last year. On first down last year, this team gave him the ball the second most carries in the whole league. He had the second most first down carries. He averaged, his yards per carry on first down averaged 19th in the league. Do the math. You get the second most carries, but you only average yards per carry on first down 19th. Well, you're going nowhere slowly. No. It's -1, it's 1, it's -2, it's 2, it's 0, it's 1. And how many times did I come in here and tell you, I was just like hitting myself in the head. Don't do that again. Right. And you would make the point correctly that Jason Garrett's just like, there's no creativity. They just were out of the shotgun, just here. Everybody, I'm giving it to Zeke. Now go find a hole.
But let me ask you this, Skip. When the Cowboys made the playoffs, when the Cowboys have been at their best, who's been the focal point? His rookie year and his third year are the only 2 times in his 4-year career that they made the playoffs. Who led the league in rushing? So it seems to me this offense works a lot better when he's the focal point. Well, it's hard to keep him as the focal point if you're down 24. You're not running your way back in a game down by 24. We look at Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, Skip. They were down 28-3. They had 7 carries the rest of the game. Yeah. It was throw. When you fall behind by that much, you've done the team a favor because you've taken Zeke out of the game.
How many of those throws in that Super Bowl were to a little running back?
Oh, a lot.
A whole bunch of them.
Yes.
Because that's how they do it.
Right.
That's how Tom Brady, he'll say, you're going to give me James White for 8 yards? I'll take that.
But, Skip, Zeke, when you come out with Zeke is the old school back, Skip. He's a bell cow. He's an Eric Dickerson. He's one of those old backs.
I agree.
25, 30 carries a game. And it's hard, Skip, when you just used to just rolling over and getting the ball in your belly. And all of a sudden they tell you, now we're going to put you out in the slot. We're going to put you out wide, and we're going to throw you the ball down the field. Well, Christian McCaffrey is used to that.
He is. Yep. And what I do love about that man, number 21, McCarthy said it yesterday, he can run it between the tackles.
Oh, yeah.
There are very few of those who can just really hammer you between, they can just steamroll you up the gut. Yeah. Well, that's invaluable to set the tone for your offense. So if he can do that.
I mean, he's 225. People look at him like, man, Zeke's small. Zeke compact. Zeke is 30.
And he delivers a blow.
Yes.
He runs. You want to talk about body lean?
Yes.
Whew. Well, I need that Zeke. I need 2018, 17, 16 Zeke. I need a little bit of Ohio State.
Well, how about this?
Just a touch.
Well, how about you not fall behind by 24, by 17?
Okay. Well, speak to my quarterback.
No, now speak to your quarterback. Now it's the quarterback.
No mercy. Damian Lillard's 34 points were too much for the Lakers last night. LeBron made history by becoming the first player to ever have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game, but it wasn't enough. The Blazers ended the game on a 19-6 run to win 100-93. And we're now joined by Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, I gotta know, what was your biggest takeaway from last night?
First of all, let me say this, Jen. Pardon my face. I was on the beach watching the game, and no sunscreen. The sun treated my face worse than the Blazers treated the Lakers last night. So my biggest takeaway is that the Lakers cannot shoot in a league that is increasingly built around shooting, and even more so in the bubble. And that's a major problem. But they can't shoot the basketball. They got, obviously, a historic performance from LeBron, even though there's room for growth there for sure. Anthony Davis could do more, certainly late in the game, but he had 28 and 11. And they still only managed 93 points against the Portland Trail Blazers, a team that had been giving up 123 points a game in the bubble. They shot 5 for 32, 15% from three. LeBron, AD, Kuzma, KCP were a combined 2 for 20 from three-point land. That's the Lakers' biggest problem. They cannot shoot, and I know it was worse in the bubble, but it was bad all season. They're in the bottom 10 in three-point shooting during the season. Even their two superstars, as great as they are, LeBron and AD, neither of them is great shooters. So sometimes even if they have it going, you're still trading 2 for 3, especially against a team like Portland. So that was my major takeaway. Look, let's be honest, the Lakers' defense wasn't that bad. It was better than I expected on the perimeter defense against the Blazers. I don't know if it was all defense or Blazers were just off, but Dame, CJ, Carmelo, Gary Trent Jr., none of them were on fire. Damon caught fire from 3 in the fourth, but throughout the game, none of them were really on fire like they had been in the previous weeks. And still, it was too much for the Lakers because when you can't shoot, you have no room for error. Your defense has to be on for pretty much 48 minutes, and you have to get great performances from AD and LeBron. And so that's my biggest takeaway, and I think they'll still win the series. I'm going to stick with my pick. But going forward, it could hurt them.
I agree with you. And that's what I said earlier. Skip, 5 of 32 from the three. That's 16%. They only shot 10 of 54 outside of the restricted area. That's 19%. On catch and shoot, they were 6 of 30. I mean, what is that? I mean, they're wide open. At one point last night, I was like, if Danny Green hit the rim, we get a point. Because he couldn't even hit the rim. I mean, Kuzma's in the corner on a corner three. He hits the side of the backboard. I'm like, are you trying to, I mean, like, what is this? You're not at the fair trying to dunk the clown in the water by hitting the bullseye. Put the ball in the basket. I mean, they are wide open. And when they have these two bigs, and see, the Lakers, when you have two bigs like that, LeBron can't get downhill because there were a couple of times that he got downhill and Whiteside met him at the rim. Nurkic is there clogging up the paint, so they really can't play the two bigs because they got shooters. So if you try to play two bigs, that means somebody's going to have to scramble and try to get out of one of those bigs when they hit you in the pick and roll. This has been concerning for me, but what's even more concerning than the shooting, Chris, is that down the stretch, they couldn't get stops. They could not get stops. And they went on a 19-6 run, and remember we talked about it last week. The Nuggets backup shot 68% in the fourth quarter. Well, if the Nuggets backups are shooting like that, what the hell you think Dame and CJ gonna do? Melo made a big shot. Trent Jr. made a big shot. But the difference was Dame. Dame is special. And like you said, he didn't go crazy, and they still beat you by 7. I'm worried. I ain't even like it. You know what, Chris? I can't even put on a good face. I put on my best outfit. My girl said, boy, put on your best outfit, you'll feel better. I put on my best outfit, and I still feel terrible.
My turn. This game to me was all about the king. This game was about the man that is called by the man across from me the GOAT, proclaimed the MVP of this regular season. This game was about LeBron James down the stretch because, to LeBron's credit, when Damian Lillard made his first three at 7:37, what did LeBron counter with? He made his only three. Yeah. It was a big one because all of a sudden you go back up 6. And then Dame dribbles the ball back up the court, and I thought it was probably a foul, but he gets bounced sideways, and he just traveled. They called it a travel by Dwight. Dwight got away with bouncing him to the side. And all of a sudden, LeBron James has the ball in his hands with a 6-point lead with 7 minutes left in what was a virtual Lakers home game. At least when the Lakers scored, the crowd noise that was piped in went up. At least you had a slight, quote-unquote, home court advantage. And down the stretch of that game, the King has to just slam the door. And what did the King do? With 4:22 left, he went to the free throw line. I always say he is the worst late-game star free throw shooter in the history of this league. And he goes right up to the line and misses both of them. Anthony Davis missed both of them right on top of that. And the point is, when your two stars, your co-stars, go to the free throw line and go goose eggs, miss both of them, it's psychologically devastating for your whole squad. So then what does LeBron do next? He drives and misses a layup. To your point, they're playing the double bigs, and Whiteside got his hand up, and LeBron had to try to arc it too high up off the glass, and he left it a little bit short. And then he got one tip-in shot, which was a little bit lucky, but he did tip one in at the 2:12 mark, and that cut it to 4. And then he had a 3-point shot, did LeBron James, with 30 seconds left, to cut it to 2. Could have gotten dicey for the Blazers at that point, and he missed that. It's just not good enough. If you're that guy in that circumstance, up 6 with 7 minutes left, you have to close it. You have to figure out how to march to the free throw line and make enough of them to get you home. Because, as Chris Broussard has brought up many times on this show, he's talked to many people, does Anthony Davis have that dog in him? Well, we haven't ever seen it. We didn't see it last night because in the fourth quarter, he got real quiet. He took 3 shots and made 1. How many rebounds did he have in the fourth quarter? 1. Quiet. Did he block any shots in the fourth quarter?
No.
Nope. Quiet.
Minus 11.
Yeah, minus 11. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. So everything fell on the shoulders of the guy at the end of year 17, LeBron James. And he couldn't get it home. He had all kinds of chances, but he couldn't. And I'm sorry, it's not good enough. Your two stars have to take that game over up 6 with 7 minutes left, and neither did.
Look, I've said it on here before. LeBron has proven he can be clutch. What, he got 5 buzzer beaters in the playoffs. That's more than Michael Jordan 3, Kobe Bryant 1 combined. However, LeBron faces challenges in the clutch, and because he's not a great jump shooter. So he either has to go all the way to the rim because he doesn't really have that pull-up mid-range shot, right? Or he has to shoot a long 3, but he's not a great 3-point shooter.
Nope.
If he's hot, if he's in one of those moments where he's just catching fire, yeah, he'll hit it. But like Shannon said, going all the way to the rim against Whiteside and Nurkic, you got to try to get the foul. I get it. You got to try to go there. Even if they're going to block the shot, you still have to attack. And if you get fouled, you got to go to the line. But then there's a challenge there because he's not a very good free throw shooter. So that is, we're seeing it with Giannis to a greater degree. I mean, LeBron's a much better shooter than Giannis. But we saw it in Milwaukee with Giannis. Teams pack in that paint and say, shoot the basketball. And now somebody else has to beat you. And that's the challenge that the Lakers have. But who else is going to beat you if AD's going silent in the fourth?
But here's the thing with AD. Think about this. He had Melo had 5 fouls. Whiteside had 5. Nurkic had 5.
They all had 5.
I mean, all you got to do is just keep driving the ball.
Keep driving the ball.
And you're settling for 3s. I mean, he airballed a couple of them. So, I mean, they weren't even close, though, Chris. I can see the ball lipping out, they rim that, and it come out. But these weren't even close. They're 2 bigs with 5 fouls, and you're falling away, and you're trying to shoot floaters. That's not AD's game. AD's better than this. These are the moments you are a big, and being a big for the Lakers is different than being a big anywhere else. No other big matter. Yeah, there have been great bigs that, your Knicks or the Celtics, but it only matters when you a big play for the Lakers. That's what it is. And AD, you got to rise to the occasion. LeBron is going to have to play better. Yeah, he had 23 points and a big triple-double, but it took him 20 shots. AD had 28, but it took him 24 shots. No, that's not good enough. You got to be. These guys shot 50% from the floor in the regular season. This is not good enough. This won't win it. Charles might be right. If you don't come play better than what you've been playing, you get swept. and then they're going to clean house. Vogel will be gone. Ain't no question about it. They get swept, he's gone.
Look, this is going to sound crazy, but I've said it to several people. AD is kind of like a tweener. And by tweener, I mean he's not a great perimeter player in the line of a Kevin Durant, a Dirk Nowitzki, you know, somebody like that.
Right.
But he doesn't want to, he said it, he doesn't want to play center. And so there are guys in the league that put up huge numbers, and if they get their shot blocked or they can't have their way in a certain part of the court, they really don't want to go there. And I think to your point, Shannon, even he could have went at those guys and got them fouled out of the game.
Yes.
But he didn't want to risk getting the shot blocked, bodying them up, because he's really kind of a tweener. He's a good post player, but he's not a great one. He's a good three-point shooter or perimeter shooter, but he's not a great one. So what does he go to at the end of the game?
Well, timeout. All I ever have heard on this show from the guy across from me is, nobody can stop him.
They can't.
He can score on anybody.
He can.
At any time.
Except
last night.
Except when he want to shoot fall away three-pointers, step back threes. Yeah. Go to the basket. You got these guys. You got 4 guys with 5 fouls, and all of them have tried to guard you. If you don't put any pressure on them, Skip, look, you're going to get look, if you play basketball, you're going to get dunked on, you're going to get your shot blocked. It's just like in football. You play long enough, you're going to get your bell rung. Anybody that caught the football or played running back said they didn't get the bell rung, they're lying. So you're going to get your shot blocked, AD, but you got to challenge Whiteside. You got to challenge Nurkic. Look, they got to play a lot better, and they can't keep getting off to these slow starts. And my thing is, another thing, LeBron, you might have to take it upon yourself to be aggressive, because he spends the entire first quarter trying to get Anthony Davis going, and he can't get himself into a rhythm. You might need to get into a rhythm and say, AD, you need to come along with me, because I need to get this thing going.
Now to Damian Lillard. I want to congratulate him for overcoming extraordinary pressure that had built on him last night into the fourth quarter. Remember, he came into the game in the fourth quarter with 10:15 left. And over the next 3 minutes, he missed 2 more shots and had another turnover. Wasn't pretty. So he had gone in the last 3 games over fourth quarter spans. And that would obviously be the Brooklyn game, the Memphis game, and last night against
Blazers.
Against the Lakers, sorry. That over those 3 fourth quarters, he had gone 22 minutes without scoring a basket. That's extraordinary for a superstar to go that long without scoring a single hoop. It's almost 2 full fourth quarters over 3 games that you had not scored from the field. Also, in the very game that you were playing last night, you'd gone through a weird long drought where you hadn't scored a basket from mid-second quarter all the way to mid-fourth quarter. Your legacy is starting to be in question. And what do? You finally say, enough of me giving the ball up with this half-court trap. They're sending a big. They're sending Anthony Davis out there. All I have to do is have my big come out and pick for me, and I'm running downhill. I can get by Alex Caruso any day, any night that I want to, because mostly that's who was guarding Damian Lillard. Alex Caruso, the Caruso. Stop it. So he started to separate from the attempted trap at half court. He could just get space wherever he wanted to. And he started saying, what do I do best? Well, he shoots from distance. So he made one from 26 feet. Then he made one from 30 feet. Then he came right back and said, I got this. And he made one from 36 feet. That's a logo Lillard shot. 3 in a row, mid-fourth quarter. As I told Shannon, I wanted to see him finish it off the way Jamal Murray did Utah 2 days ago. Just hammer it home all the way. But no, he gave up. He passed the rock, and Melo hit the dagger, and then Gary Trent Jr. hit the final dagger. But again, I applaud Damian because that was dire circumstance for him personally and his legacy with 7:37 left. And I don't know if he had been special up to that point, but he was for the next 3 minutes.
Those last 2 threes were incredible. Because I think that last logo 3 was more impressive than the one he hit a few games ago. Because it was off a high pick and roll, and Anthony Davis was coming at him. And I see, Skip, look, I think Dame definitely has to play well. Like, he has to keep playing well, not bubble well, because that was otherworldly, but keep playing well. But I kind of think he's playing with house money. Like, most people don't expect him. I know there's a growing number now that expect him to win this series, but most people would not fault him for losing to LeBron and Anthony Davis unless he just plays poorly. But he wasn't playing that badly. Obviously, he was hot in the first half. It was quiet, but I kind of like that because he does have other players. He's not dominating the basketball. He's not over-dribbling. No. And what you see is that because a CJ is touching the rock, a Melo is touching the rock, a Gary Trent Jr. is touching the ball, when they need to hit big shots, they have stepped up and hit them, as opposed to the Lakers, where those guys haven't stepped up. I don't know if they're just out of rhythm or really they just can't shoot. But he's had
that latter part you said.
Hey,
it's bad for the Lakers.
If you're going to beat the Lakers plus 24 points from the three-point line, you're going to win those games. That's just too many points to give up from the three-point line.
But Skip, they dominated the Blazers on the offensive rebound 17-5. So think about how many second chance points you could have created off that if you could actually shoot the basketball. If they shoot 30%, they probably win this game. Skip, if they shoot 30% from the three, they win this game by 10.
Man, what happened to that guy, JaVale McGee? What happened to Dwight Howard? I don't know. Were they out there?
Dwight gets some of the ticky attacking. If Dwight pick up one foul, in the next 30 seconds, he's going to get another 2.
No mercy. Despite LeBron's historic triple-double, the King couldn't get enough help from his teammates in their Game 1 loss to the Blazers. Up 6, midway through the fourth quarter, the Lakers still lost by 7. L.A. shot just 15% from 3, and after the game, LeBron admitted the team had breakdowns down the stretch. Chris Broussard still with us. Chris, I start with you. How much trouble are the Lakers in?
Well, look, I'm sticking with my pick of Lakers in 6. I'll stick with that. I said there was a 10% chance that the Blazers win the series before it started. I'm going to up that to 27%. 27% now. The Blazers have a chance. But here's what needs to happen. And look, LeBron had a tremendous floor game last night. I mean, obviously it was a historic stat line that we've never seen. But he's going to have to be more aggressive as a scorer.
Yes.
Because he has to realize I'm getting no help other than AD, who doesn't really do it in the fourth quarter. I am getting no help. And we've always compared LeBron to Magic Johnson. He's more like Magic than Michael, especially now that he's playing point guard for the LA Lakers. But one thing that Magic always knew was when he had to be a scorer first. If Kareem was there and Worthy was there and Byron Scott had it going, Magic was content to just get guys involved and pass the basketball. But when one of those guys wasn't there or multiple guys weren't there, he would become a scorer even though that wasn't his nature. LeBron's going to have to do that. And so some people are calling for like Alex Caruso to start. Maybe you do that and LeBron's more off the ball. And then he has more of a mentality just to score. But whatever the case, he's going to have to be more aggressive looking for a shot. And I know he doesn't always like finishing over 7-footers. And they've got 2 of them in Portland. And you saw he had trouble finishing at the rim yesterday. But he's going to have to keep attacking. And if it means getting your shot blocked, if it means getting fouled and not finishing and have to go to the free throw line, he's going to have to do it. But these guys aren't going to give him enough help. Kuzma will be hot a game or 2 or maybe more. AD is going to give you his points early in the game, but LeBron's going to have to take it upon himself to do a little bit more scoring if they're going to win. 23 points for LeBron is low.
Yes, exactly. And that's my point. I believe he needs to up that. He needs to be closer to 30 than down around the 20 mark. But if you look at the starters were 3 for 23 from the three-point line. You're not beating anybody with that. And then late game free throws. You missed 11 free throws. You shot 35% from the floor. And then your defense collapsed, as LeBron mentioned, in the second half of the ball game. But look, until they get some shooting, because I've always, and I said this early on, if Danny Green is not knocking down threes, he's a liability on the offensive end because now they're playing 5-on-4. And he's not the defensive guy. He's not Avery Bradley. He's not one of these guys that you just go, wow, he's just. And maybe, I talked to Skip about this earlier, Chris. Maybe it's because he's exerting so much energy, trying to guard Dame, trying to guard CJ. The same thing with KCP. But when they weren't guarding guys that were CJ and Dame in the bubble, they were still struggling shooting the threes. So we can't use that as an excuse or saying, well, maybe they have dead legs. They got to play better. But even if they play better, I need my stars to shine bright. Because when it gets night, I want to look up in the sky and I want to see stars. And I want to see it shining. And my 2 stars did not shine like they were supposed to last night. I go outside at 10 o'clock at night. I need to see stars, Skip. I need to see stars, Chris Broussard. And I didn't see no stars.
Tomorrow night, you'll see stars. I know I said Lakers in 3. I'm now saying Lakers in 5. Enough of this doom and gloom. They're still the Lakers. It's still LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and they're just better than Portland. It is time for them to impose their will psychologically on this team. It's time for them to go out and have a tour de force game they are highly capable of having. And to me, it starts with what I think they should do tomorrow morning. They should go to shoot around. There was a story 2 weeks ago out of the bubble that LeBron James, Anthony Davis had finally decided, we don't love shoot arounds anymore. We don't go. I don't know any other NBA team that doesn't go to shoot arounds. I might be missing one. Maybe it's been under the radar, but it's time to go back to shoot around, if for nothing else, just to change your luck.
Right.
Just to break the hex.
To shoot around.
Yeah, just to shoot around. Shoot 3-point shots. Feel better about yourselves, because you guys know 3-point shooting is a state of mind. It's psychological confidence. It's a feeling. It's an aura that you get, and it's contagious on a team. And once somebody makes one and then somebody else makes another one, you see what happens. I've seen Danny Green make 6 or 8 in a row. Yep. I have. I saw him on, what was that night, November the 1st at Dallas? Who made the shot of shots in the corner?
Skip, you remember opening night against the Clippers?
Yeah.
He had 28.
He did. He had 28. I've seen it before. I'm a Danny Green friend and fan. I've been watching him since he was a baby in this league. And for all those years with the Spurs, it can be heaven, it can be hell. He set the 2013 NBA Finals record for threes in a finals. And yet, this can happen too. And this year, there's been more hell than heaven.
Yes.
Okay, I get all that, but you should go to shoot around and try to start a new trend. I also think Rajon Rondo is crucial to this team, and I'm pretty sure he's been cleared medically. You need to start playing him because he brings an edge to this team. He brings a playmaking. He brings a made man feel, because obviously he was the point guard on a championship team in Boston. They need his attitude back on the floor. He plays with more urgency and is a better disruptor on defense than these guys have been. And finally, I want to see Kyle Kuzma play the whole fourth quarter. Chris, I told Shannon, Kyle Kuzma was warming up. He'd scored 4 straight points, and with 8.5 minutes left, Vogel yanks him. And I'm like, well, he was just getting going.
Yeah.
And here came, guess who? Danny Green. And it's for defensive purposes, I'm pretty sure. Because who does Kuzma guard? I'm not sure. It's got to be either Dame or CJ.
Well, at that point in time, Skip, you only had like 85 points. You talk about defense, you need somebody that can score.
You need a shooter. You need a no-conscience shooter down the stretch of the fourth quarter. So Kuzma sat for 4 minutes and came back in, and they had gone from up 6 to down 2. And the rest of the game, he didn't take another shot. He tried a tip on an offensive rebound and missed it. But no other shots from Kyle Kuzma. You need to get your shooters shooting in the fourth quarter, so I didn't get that. But I still say if they'll come right out of the gates tomorrow night and impose their will, they are the better basketball team, and obviously they were all year long.
Look, here's the thing, and I'm sticking with them, so I'm with you, Skip. But Portland is legitimate. We should not think of this as the Portland of the regular season, because I have always loved Jusuf Nurkic. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, All-Pro, or anything like that, but he's got swagger. He's got toughness. He's got skill.
He does.
And he wasn't there all season. Hassan Whiteside, we've seen in the past, he can put up, 16 points a night and give you 12 rebounds.
It's a contract year.
Shots. His problem usually is that he can't get out and guard the three, right? That's where he gets exposed because he won't go out there. He can't go out there and guard the three. But against the Lakers, you don't really have to worry about that.
Right.
So now those two are valuable. Carmelo, we know he's not as good as LeBron. He's actually even a year older than LeBron. But he's not afraid of LeBron. That's the thing. Melo doesn't, cower at the sight of LeBron James like some players. And we know Dame and CJ aren't. So they aren't afraid of the Lakers. They shoot much better than the Lakers. Their big men don't get exposed on the perimeter like they do against other teams when they play the Lakers. So this is going to be a serious threat to the Lakers. I'm sticking with them, but they got their hands full.
So obviously, there's no Avery Bradley. So obviously, you don't have a premier perimeter defender to guard either Dame or CJ. So obviously, Portland's going to score points. That, as Shannon pointed out, to hold them to 100, pretty good, actually. But you have to outscore them. Your mindset, your approach has to be, we have to outscore them.
Yes.
So LeBron James, you have to be selfish tomorrow night. You can't worry about how many assists you get. You need to score the basketball.
LeBron might need to have that same stat line, but with 30, 35 points.
I totally agree.
And Anthony Davis is going to need to be, he's going to have to be what he was in the regular season against Portland, which is about 30, 31, 32, and 11. That's what he's going to have to be. But he's going to have to be efficient. Neither guy was efficient.
No.
Yeah, they got numbers, nice numbers. Yeah. But that was that's a very inefficient way to get those numbers. And what we know about these two guys, they are efficient ball players, especially LeBron James.
AD needs to realize that his reputation is on the line. I'm not saying people aren't going to think he's a great player. But remember, in New Orleans, mostly on the national scene, people weren't paying that much attention to them. They're just looking at box scores, seeing, wow, look at these numbers AD puts up, and, players are hurt, so he doesn't have a lot of help. But now that spotlight is on him. Yeah. And people are scrutinizing his game like never before. And if they continue to see stuff like this, it will hurt his reputation.
Yep.
No mercy. Saturday on Fox, the MLS regular season returns. Catch Diego Rossi as he leads LAFC in the next chapter of the El Tráfico rivalry against Chicharito and the Galaxy. The action begins 6 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Damian Lillard continues to will the Blazers into victories. Last night, Dame dropped a game-high 34 points and was a whopping plus 19 for the night. He also went 6 of 13 from deep that included a go-ahead 36-footer in the fourth quarter. And I got to admit here, I am becoming a Dame fan. It's fun to watch. Shannon, give Dame a letter grade.
A+.
A+?
A+. He continues to shine for the Lakers. Yeah, wow. Skip, I got you. Because the fourth quarter comes around and you know what time it is. Everybody starts pointing at them watches. And it ain't talking about no Gucci either. The huge three, Skip, they had a 6-point lead. The scramble, it looks like AD and Caruso's going to get the ball. The next thing you know, Blazers come up with it, kick it to Dame. Dame sidestep, let Danny Green goes by. As the clock goes off, the ball's in the air. It splashes nothing but net. The 3 threes, the 2 big assists. Skip, sometimes, we got to stop looking at it because for me is that having playing with John Elway, my quarterback, Skip, sometimes it wasn't about throwing the touchdown. Sometimes it was about making crucial throws that kept us on the field. And sometimes, even though Dame is not scoring, he's doing other things that puts his team in position to win the game. Those are huge threes. Those are back breakers. And nothing breaks your back more than a big play. And Skip, having covering football, and I know that's what your background, you love the sport of football. There's something about an 80-yard touchdown pass that gets the crowd going more so than a 1-yard TD run. There's just something about that. It's something about that 3-point shot that's more exciting now. It used to be the dunk, but now it's the 3-point shot that gets the crowd. Although it's no crowd, it gets their team energized. And he was able to hit 3, and as you mentioned, it goes from 26 to 30 to 36 feet, and he's going further and further and further. Back, back, back. And he was great. He was what you wanted to see your stars in the fourth quarter do something that helped their team win. He did that. He made the big shots. He made the big plays. I have no choice but to give him an A+.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I also have a choice, and I'm going to give him a B+.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I lost him for 2 full quarters, from mid-second quarter all the way to almost mid-fourth quarter. It wasn't Dame time. He was missing in action. He didn't score a single basket over 2 full quarters of play. And for that matter, he had not scored a single basket until that three-pointer with 7:37 left over 2 full fourth quarters of play that stretched all the way back to the Brooklyn game. Last 7-12 of the Brooklyn game, no baskets. All the fourth quarter against Memphis, no baskets. The first 3 minutes that he came into the game last night in the fourth quarter, it was not Dame time. He missed 2 shots and had a turnover. And then, to your point, there was a loose ball scramble and a kick to him. And at 7:37, he had a wide open, sort of standalone, uncontested 3-point shot. And to his credit, he made it. I believe he has such a high basketball IQ that he knew he was in a dire circumstance at that point because the pressure was mounting because he'd gone so long over 3 straight games of fourth quarters without scoring a basket and so long in that game without scoring a basket. To his credit, he made that one. Wide open as it was, sometimes those are the hardest to make. And he ripped it. And he felt better about himself. And then he said, heck with this trap. I just want my big to come pick for me because I can separate from Alex Caruso. And he separated on the next one down and shot a 30-footer and made it. And that one was with 5:46 left, and that tied the game. So that's a big shot. And then with 3:13 left, he put them ahead by 3 with an absolute bomb. He shot that one from Cape Canaveral, and he made it. Clean as whistle. Blow the whistle. Isn't that the East Oakland song?
Yes.
Right. So he blew that whistle from deep.
Hold on. I thought that was supposed to be a Laker game. How the hell we playing anthem for...
You know what? That's a good question. Who did hit that button? That's a good point.
Yeah, he'll get fired. We got to fire his butt.
Wasn't that a Too Short song?
Yeah, that's Too Short from Oakland. He from Too Short from Oaktown.
Yeah, okay. But Dame was over.
Yeah, he going dumb. He went stupid with it.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who did that?
I want to know. That's a very good question that you should ask. That was a Laker home game. Who hit that button?
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like somebody with the Lakers is becoming a Dame fan, too.
Yeah, secretly undercover. But Skip, he had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists in the fourth quarter. And if you remember, Nurkic had just picked up his 5th foul. Nurkic is on the time. When he hit that 3 and the Lakers called timeout, he doing this. He said, you know what time it is? It's Dame time.
Okay.
Skip, you told me you wanted to see him score something other than free throws.
Okay, but I did want him to take it home.
He did.
And he did not take it home.
Yes, he did.
There's 3 minutes and 13 seconds left. Did you see Jamal Murray 2 days ago against Utah? Did you see what he did? He just said, give me the damn ball and get out of my way. The last 139 against Utah, Jamal Murray scored 8 straight points and then went to overtime and scored 10 straight points.
Let that sink in.
That's closing.
As hard as Jamal Murray was, and he had 18 over the last 5 minutes.
No, last 139.
He only had
16.
He only had 2 more points than Dame Lillard.
2 more points how?
Total points. 36 to 34.
Okay, for the whole game.
Yes.
But remember, Jamal Murray, down to the 139 left in the fourth quarter, he had only 18 points, and he wound up with 36.
Yes.
That's impossible.
And Dame was coaching and said, you know what, this game about to get out of hand. Let me go ahead and do what I do.
Well,
boom, 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 boom,
okay,
boom.
I give you that because he needed to make those shots. And then, remember, LeBron canceled his first 3 with a 3 of his own.
Yeah, and then he comes right back.
Okay, but then Dame's dribbling the ball up the floor, and he gets bumped by Dwight. I thought it was a foul, but they called a travel. So all of a sudden, LeBron's got the ball back. And here we went, and Dame saved them. But then the 2 who brought it home were Carmelo with a dagger and then Gary Trent Jr. with another dagger. And those came at 2:33 and 1:15. Dame was quiet the last 3:13. He took another 3 and missed it.
Any good team, if you smart, you said anybody other than Dame. Skip, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to let Melo. Now, I know Melo has hit some big buckets.
He has.
Melo has a lot of game-winning shots on his resume. He got a lot of game winners on his ball.
He's had them this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Skip, you remember that Memphis game? He the one that tied and got into overtime with that three. He did it again on Saturday.
Yep.
So I'm not surprised, Melo. Gary Trent Jr. is the one that's showing me something because he's not afraid.
He didn't show me much until that shot.
But he's not afraid.
He is not afraid.
Yeah.
And you know why he's not? Because he grew up around pro basketball locker rooms.
Yep.
He was in NBA locker rooms because his father was a decent NBA
And that's
player.
normally how it works, Skip. You look at Steph Curry, you look at Klay Thompson, you look at these guys that grew up around it, Grant Hill, you look at these guys that grew up around that situation, and they're not in awe of the moment. Even though he's a second-year player, he played, I mean, that was a big shot. That was a big shot, and I was like, there's no way he's going to take and make that.
Yep.
And he switched it.
And he fearlessly attempted to guard LeBron James for much of the game.
And I just knew Skip, I was ready. You know, Miss Trip Dub, she had been in quarantine. You know, Jenny, she arrived late, so she had to stay an extra 3 or 4 days in quarantine. But she made it out just in time. She was watching the game.
Really?
Yeah, Miss Trip Dub was down there in the bubble.
She cannot go into the
Yes,
bubble.
she can. You can have what you call. You can have up to if you got close family and friends.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That's for the second round.
That we there.
She was in the bubble. LeBron's got to be quarantined now.
He already
He's got to be quarantined for like 8 days.
You see LeBron always has his mask on, and she was there?
Really?
Yeah, but she had quarantined everything. She was good. And,
but you're saying she stayed 6 feet away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw stars, too, because I was rubbing my head. You know what? I got to stop getting like this, Skip, because it's almost like I'm playing. Because when we lost the game, Skip, I couldn't sleep. And now I worked myself up with the football games, especially the Lakers, man. I can't sleep. I'm tossing and turning. I'm done.
Really?
I ain't watching the game. No, you have to tell me how it happened.
I'm here to tell you, you have no issues. You're okay going forward. They're going to win tomorrow night.
I get so worked up. The dogs are worked up. They, you know, because I'm on it. You know how it is, Skip. I'm on it.
I know. Nobody knows better than I know.
I keep thinking about Miss Trip Dub. Made an appearance, didn't get the job done.
Nah, she didn't.
Sorry,
we got to send her butt home.
No mercy.
LeBron became the first player to ever have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game last night. He also gave the Lakers a 6-point lead with a 3 in the fourth, but failed to connect on another 3 to bring the game within 2 points with just 30 seconds remaining. And get this, it was just the second time in his career that LeBron lost game 1 in the first round of the playoffs. That really stood out to me. Shannon, give LeBron a letter grade, please.
I'm going to give him a C-, Skip.
Really?
Yeah. It just goes to show you the level of greatness. When a man can do something that's never been done in the history of the playoffs, and the best he can get from me, one of his staunchest supporters.
I would say the staunchest.
One of.
Yeah.
Is a C- because the bar, as you said, the bar is 8 feet. And only one person has ever cleared that bar. So for me, Skip, look, he lost. So we start with that. He lost. Then the 2 missed free throws. Can't happen. It can't happen. We needed those.
Yep.
Especially after AD had just marched to the line and missed both of his.
Yeah.
You could ill afford to give up just 4 points. That's 4 easy free points right there that you left by the wayside. He drove the ball 16 times, which is more than he normally does. But when you got 2 7-footers rated on your, Skip, it's kind of hard to get all the way to the rim. So he trusted his shooters. But I think the thing is LeBron's going to have to trust a little less. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. You're giving them an opportunity. But here's the thing. Nobody's going to care that KCP went over. No one's going to care about Danny Green. Nobody's going to care about Caruso.
Yep.
This is all about you and Anthony Davis.
Yep.
The Lakers team is tied to you and AD. And you and AD need to make sure you bring this thing home. Skip, I thought he worked hard on defense. He drew a charge on Whiteside.
He did.
He tied up CJ, got a jump ball out of it, and ended up getting a layup out of it.
It was a good play.
Yeah, it was. Skip, LeBron is going to have to be more of a scorer and maybe less of a facilitator because although those assists were nice, they missed entirely too many shots. So take it upon yourself, say, you know what? I'm going to draw these fouls. I'm going to get their big butts in foul trouble. I'm going to march to the free throw line. And on Thursday night, I'm going to go 13 or 15 from the foul line. Anthony Davis is going to go 14 or 14 from the foul line. Yep. I'm going to have a 30-point triple-dub. AD's going to give me 30, and we're going to win this game. And we're going to say, okay, now we're going to play basketball.
Wow. So what's the old line, the cliche? I can criticize my wife, but you'd better not,
you better
right?
not. Right.
So you are criticizing your quote-unquote wife,
Right.
LeBron,
Right.
but I'd better not. Because if I leveled that kind of criticism at your man, you would be steamed at me.
Yeah.
But you are steamed at your Lakers, and it's now trickled all the way down to Shannon's LeBron, right? So I have never heard you with, heap such doom and gloom on LeBron James' head.
I'm objective.
Well, this is the first day in the history of our program that you have been objective.
No,
It seriously is. I'm in awe of this. You gave him a C minus?
C minus.
I wrote down, let me get my list, C. I wrote down C because this stat line has never been accomplished in the history of the playoffs.
Right.
Think about that. Nobody has ever put up these kind of numbers. I know the points are fairly low, 23. It's a good number. It's the Michael Jordan number that he stole, but it's a good number. He stole it. So it's 23 points, but it's 17 rebounds and 16 assists, yet Shannon was objective enough to look through those numbers, past them and underneath them, to wait a second. Those are really misleading.
Yes.
Because they did lose, and he did go 1 for 5 from the three-point line, and he did go 4 out of 7 from the free throw line. Not good enough, not good enough.
Right.
He also had 4 turnovers, not the worst he's ever had.
but they only had 9 as a team, Skip, so they took care of the ball.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
He got carried away with his assists. He gets a little whipped creamy where he's just trying, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And sometimes, like Markieff Morris just wasn't ready. I didn't know you were even going to try that. It was still a pretty good pass. It just goes right out of bounds.
Right.
Okay, so the point is, I'm going to go back to end of game. You can't, after Anthony Davis has let you down by missing 2 free throws, you can't march to the line and clank them both, LeBrick both free throws, because your team needs you at least to make one of them to feel better about itself. And I thought that was the psychological death blow for the Lakers. I thought it was just impossible to overcome that because it looked like your 2 superstars marched to the line, had chances to tie the game, and both of them goose-egged from the free throw line.
They did.
And then down the stretch, after that, LeBron misses a layup, and to your point, he was driving it enough.
Right.
Having some problems. Again, he's at the end of his 17th year. Is he as explosive as he was when he was 22?
No, he ain't going to just be able to elevate over everybody all the time.
He can't do that. He's still extremely explosive and athletic for 35. Extremely. It's extraordinary, but he's not a kid anymore.
Right.
And yet he attacks with the right fury, but then he starts to launch. Listen, Hassan Whiteside, he'll lead the league in blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, he had he had 5 last night.
He had 5.
So
and it changed the game and saved the game.
It did because he looked like Danny Green or Kuzma was about to have a layup, and then he comes out of nowhere and blocks that one. He blocks 2 of LeBron James shots. He blocks one of AD's. So he blocks a dunk on Dwight Howard. So yes, and plus the 23-point Skip. It took him 20 shots.
Took him 20 shots, but he got 16 assists. And they shot 5 of 32 from 3. Help me out with the math.
They shoot 30%. He got 22, 23 assists.
Maybe
25.
More.
Yeah.
Maybe 25 assists.
Yes.
Well, would that not be? We would have done the whole show about LeBron.
Well, they'd have won the game.
Yeah.
But the thing was, Skip, they couldn't make threes early, and so they made a few. And when Danny Green finally hit one, I just collapsed. I just collapsed on the floor. I was like, huh. And then
one thing about Danny Green, he will not stop taking them. He is fearless and no conscience about shooting them. But when he gets cold, he gets ice cold.
Well, sometimes I wanted to have a conscience. Sometimes I want you to stop doing things and you know what, I shouldn't be doing.
But you know what they say? Shooters shoot.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep shooting, and he will keep shooting. And trust me, it will turn around when you least expect it, and he'll make 5 in a row. And you'll say, where was that?
Is that going to be Thursday? He going to make 5 in a row Thursday?
I got a feeling they need to start hot. Somebody else needs to make one first.
Yes.
Maybe LeBron needs to go down and logo LeBron one.
Yeah, that'd be
and
nice.
Then here they go.
Well, he tried to do a logo of LeBron and barely drew iron on it.
I know. They were all having a hard time. But when he and AD go 1 for 10 from 3, you're probably going to lose the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, he needs more help from his co-star, but I'm not sure he's going to get a whole lot more help.
No, AD got to be better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be if you want to be thought of as one of these pantheon big men, if you want to be one of these historically great and you play for the Lakers, Skip, you got to deliver. You're not in New Orleans. You can't say, well, I don't have any help. You got LeBron James, and y'all should be enough.
No mercy. If you haven't checked it out yet, the brand new Fox Sports app and website are up and running, and fans are loving it. Modern and sleek, the ultimate app for today's sports fan is here. Download it now. Anthony Davis led the Lakers in scoring last night with 28 points, but went 8 for 24 from the floor and 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. After the game, AD said he got all the looks that he wanted, but it came down to making the open shots when they were there. So, Shannon, I start with you. Please give AD a letter grade.
Skip, I had him down for a nice little grade. He still passed, but I recommend he take the class over again.
Really?
I gave him a D. I didn't have a choice, Skip. 0 for 6 on catch and shoot situations. He missed the 2 free throws with little under 5 minutes left. An 85% free throw shooter. He missed 5 last night. 8 for 24, in which he's a 50% shooter from the field. And he only had 7 points in the second half, and he was minus 20 in plus minus. AD, you better than that. AD, you better than that.
Is he?
Yeah, AD
you
better.
Sure?
Yeah, my nephew better than that. I know he better than that. And he gonna show you on Thursday. But Skip, I don't see how he gets a C with that type of performance. And you look at him in the first half, he had 21 points in the first half. And he gives you 5 in the third and 2 in the fourth? 2 points? And for most indication, he's top 5 or 6 at worst best player in the NBA. And that's what he gave us last night. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable for someone as talented as him. And you know you have on purple and gold, and you are a big, the expectations get heightened.
They do.
And so for that, I had to give him a D.
And I also give AD his second initial. I give him a D also. And you almost talked me into a D minus. Yet, just like LeBron's stat line, if I just glanced, if I hadn't watched the game, if I just took a quick look at 28 and 11, that sounds pretty good, right?
Yes.
That sounds Laker-esque.
Yes.
That's like Kareem-esque, Shaq-esque, right? 28 and 11. Look a little deeper. 0 for 5 from 3. What are you doing taking that many three-point shots? And from the free throw line, 12 of 17. But more important, in the fourth quarter, when it really mattered, game on the line, and at 2 points in the fourth quarter, you had a 6-point lead. He takes 3 total shots. He makes only 1. And he got to the free throw line how many times? 1 time with 2 shots, and he missed them both.
And you remember opening night at the restart, Skip? He was 17 to 18 from the free throw line, which really was the difference in the ball game.
Okay. But what happened on opening night of the whole season?
Yeah.
What happened in the fourth quarter against the Clippers? He disappeared. He goose-egged in the fourth quarter. I don't believe he's that guy that you think he is. I see all the talent. I see the skills. He's like a 6'10" guard. You know, like he plays like a guard, and he was a point guard in high school. And then he grew way up, and all of a sudden at Kentucky, he took over college basketball. Has he taken over pro basketball? Would the second-level stats say, yes, you have, because you are the PER Prince, player efficiency rating. He was 4th this year. LeBron was 10th this year. Okay? So is he that guy? Because in New Orleans, did he ever lift that franchise up to greatness? No. And they had some talent. Boogie was there for a while. Rondo was there. And his biggest playoff claim to fame was with Rondo when they swept Damian and company 4 straight games. And it was playoff Rondo, which is why I think you need playoff Rondo tomorrow night.
I need somebody that can hit a jumper.
Well, you do.
If Rondo can do that, I'll take him.
Well,
throw Jason Kidd out there.
He will.
Lionel Hollins might can help.
Well, even Rondo and Jason Kidd aren't very good shooters, but I will guarantee you, come playoff time in big moments, those guys will make big threes.
Have you seen the way the Lakers been shooting the ball?
I have.
It don't look like they got very good shooters either. Skip, I saw Anthony Davis once get 59 and 20. Saw him get 40 and 20. So I know he's more than capable, but you can't settle. And you can't start falling away from the basket, and you can't start shooting floaters. If they block the shot, they block the shot. But you're going to get more calls than not. You had Nurkic and you had Whiteside, you had Melo with 5 fouls.
Yep.
Somebody got to get out the game. And because you weren't aggressive enough, take it to him.
Shannon, he is who I thought he was.
He's going to show you.
That guy in New Orleans, he went 5-8 in playoff games, and in regular season games, 216 and 250. So what's that? Like 30, I'm sorry, 30, almost 34 games under 500.
He's going to show you on
something
Thursday.
is missing. How many anonymous quotes have we talked about this year from various executives and personnel people around the league? He doesn't have that dog in him. Even Charles Barkley said the other night, I don't think he has that dog in him. You got to have some guy who says, I'm going to just go out there and kill all y'all.
Lakers by 10.
Okay?
Lakers by 10 on Thursday.
I hope you're right, but I think that's going to have more to do with your guy, LeBron James, than that guy, Anthony Davis.
As a matter of fact, I'm calling Fox Bet right now. As soon as I get out there, yep.
What did I warn you about yesterday? What have I warned him about on Twitter and sitting in this seat? Be careful what you wish for. He wished for purple and gold. He wished for La La Land. He loves it here, and I don't blame him. I love it here.
But it's a different type of expectation,
Hey, this is different.
I mean, there are certain situations that you go to. Boston's one of those, and the Lakers. It's kind of like skipping baseball. Agree. You go to the Yankees. What Yankees they talking about? The AL. Yeah, that's nice.
Nope, I got it.
It's all about World Series.
Yeah. If you're getting max money and nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Okay, and I'm going to warn him again. LeBron can be the greatest teammate you ever play with, and he can be the most difficult because he will pass you the basketball like nobody. LeBron's still the best passer in basketball and has been since he stepped on an NBA floor.
He hit AD with a couple last night.
He did. Beautiful. Just beautiful. It's gift. It's like you're born with this gift, and he is flaunting his gift now at age 35. But LeBron will also pass you the blame. We've seen it before, especially with co-stars. He will make it clear to the media that you are not holding up your end of the bargain and let them lose another game because he's not there for LeBron. I promise you, LeBron will go passive-aggressive with some kind of post-game shot at that guy.
LeBron don't need to because everybody watched the game last night. And everybody was, I was watching on Twitter. AD, what are you doing? AD, stop floating, stop shooting threes, get down. So everybody sees it, but AD knows it. AD knows what's expected of him. I talked to him. He knows what's expected. I expect him to come back with a 30 and 15 game.
You're going to give him a little lecture this afternoon?
I just might.
You might?
Might call a little goat, too.
I think both of them need to go to shoot-around tomorrow for the first time all year and shoot around.
Well, we're going. We're going to do whatever we need to take to break out. Hold up. How about them other guys go to shoot around? They're the one that need to be making the shots. We ain't getting a whole lot of catch and shoot. Well, AD is. LeBron is not getting a whole lot of catch and shoots. But Danny Green, Danny Green was minus 20. Caldwell Pope was minus 18. AD minus 20. How you going to win with that? Let's go. These are your starters.
Yep.
And you shoot 16% from the three-point line. You shoot 65% from the free throw line and 35% from the field. And you expect to win a game? The mere fact that you were even in the game should be a consolation, like you said, what'd you say that, a moral victory. That should be a moral victory that you were even in the game with these kind of despicable numbers. It's absurd that you were even in the game. Your two stars go 17 of 44. 17 of 44.
Okay.
1 for 10 from the three-point line. And with 2 minutes left in the ball game, you're only down 3.
What do we see in those 7 restart games that Anthony Davis did play in? They won 3 of them, and in those he averaged 34, 9, and 4. He hurt the Clippers, but he destroyed Utah and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, he made a mess of Prince Shep.
Made a mess of him. In the 4 losses in which he played in the restart game,
he looked a mess.
He averaged 12, 9, and 4. So 34, 9, and 4 in the wins, 12, 9, and 4. That's disappearing.
12 points.
Come on, stop it. That says to me, front runner. If you get off hot and everybody's cooking and LeBron's dishing and it feels good, he'll feel good and he'll lay it on.
He needs to get himself going by going to the basket instead of settling, because what the first thing was a jumper, a step back, catch and shoot, Put the ball on the floor.
In those step backs, I can always tell when he shoots it like he means it. In the first couple of shots of the game, they were tentative to me.
Yes.
They were weak, and they missed badly.
But I hope this go in.
Yeah.
No, shoot it with conviction.
Shoot it.
Yes.
Yep, shoot it like you mean.
But put the ball on the floor. Nurkic or Whiteside need to foul out. And they need to foul out by you putting the ball on the floor and drawing contact. Be aggressive. Don't bail them out by flailing, shooting it up there and falling. No.
My last warning is the GOAT, as you call LeBron James, often needs a scapegoat. Beware AD.
All I need AD to do is hold up his end of the bargain.
Well,
that's it.
And if you don't, you got scapegoat.
Okay, Skip, here's the thing. I'm gonna go into the bank. I just need you to hold the bag.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do I'm going in the vault. I'm gonna dump all the money. Just hold the bag. Don't drop the bag, and then now we gotta run out there with bundles in our hand. Just hold the bag, AD. That's all I need you to do. Hold the bag. I'm gonna do the rest.
You talk a lot about robbing banks. I hope you don't have any experience. I don't know.
Nah, I ain't got no bad robbing bank. But I just need AD to hold the bag. LeBron gonna put the money in the bag.
LeBron can get in his bag.
That's it.
Right? Yeah.
LeBron gonna do this thing on Thursday.
It might be more pressure to hold the bag than actually do the work. I feel like that's probably the issue right now, Shannon. Okay. No mercy. Well, after another impressive night from way beyond the arc by Damian Lillard, Kenny Smith said Dame might have the most range in the game. While including Steph Curry in the conversation, Kenny said, quote, "I don't think you can shoot as deep as him, Steph. Gotta see it when you come back." Steph responded on Twitter saying, "Love you, Kenny, but you tripping right now." So, Shannon, who is the better long-distance shooter, Dame or Steph?
Skip, it's hard for me to disagree with Kenny right now. Because, Skip, we've seen Steph shoot from distance, but we haven't seen him do it on this level like this. Because what we saw in the play-in games, he needed that. Now, we've seen Steph, make over 400. But we are still waiting for him to have that signature, do it like this. Skip, he's 10 of 18 on 35-foot three-point shots or further. That's 56%. That's unheard of. I mean, if you tell somebody else to look here, if you make 10 of these out of 100 from this far, Skip, he's pulling up like he's shooting a free throw. So I'm like Kenny, Steph, I'm gonna have to see it. Bro, I ain't gonna bet against you, but right now I can't bet with you either.
Really?
Nah.
I love Kenny Smith, but he is tripping. He's tripping over his own argument.
You saw Dollar, right?
I've seen Dollar.
Okay.
And I have seen Steph. And lest we forget, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. So over the there's a 5-year period from 2014 to 2019. Dame played all through that period also. Do you realize that Steph Curry in that time, from 30 to 35 feet, took 94 shots and made 45 of them? That's 48% from 30 to 35 feet.
Yes.
When you get to 35, you're logo Lillard distance.
Yes.
Okay? So to me, that's extraordinary because in the same period, Damian, from that same distance, 30 to 35, he took 16 more shots. He had 110 attempts, but he made 15 fewer. So he's making under 30% of his shots versus 48%. So to me, this is just me. As a shooter, Damian can't carry Steph's golf bag. As a shooter.
Well, how about this?
And remember, Steph can shoot mid-range jumpers, too. He's deadly.
Yeah. But how about this here? Since Mahomes and Allen want to have a throw-off, we have a deep shoot-off between these two.
I would pay to see it.
That's the only way to settle it.
I would pay-per-view. I might pay $200 pay-per-view to see that.
But Steph is always going to get credit, Skip, because they say he revolutionized the game. The three-point wasn't in vogue until Steph started shooting these logo threes. And so now, but it's like, okay, Jordan. Jordan is a great dunker, but who's a better dunker, Vince Carter or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, Lord.
Well, have you forgotten? Do you want to continue?
All I know is I saw Vince Carter dunk over a 7-foot man.
All I know is the first human I ever saw take off from beyond the free throw line and dunk it. See logo?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you watch Toon Squad.
Yeah.
There's a guy dunking from half court. Oh, Toon Squad, the new Toon Squad, yep.
Toon Squad?
Yeah, that him. LeBron James, he dunked one from half court.
In What in a cartoon?
Real life?
It's a cartoon.
Real life.
Do you think Space Jam is like real?
Real.
Oh, really?
It's close, Skip. I don't know. I can't, after what I've been seeing from Dame. I got to see it,
think you're a
Steph.
prisoner of a few moments.
Okay, Steph, I'm sorry, but I got to see it.
Steph, I got your back.
Steph.
Hard to stop
Challenge
right
him,
now.
Steph.
That is it for Undisputed. Thank you for watching. We're back same time tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I'll be on my couch watching all the NBA games today. See you guys.